words, they use bullets.
This is the man who shot Charlie Kirk. This is the man who shot Trump. This is the man who killed Melissa Fortman. This is the man who tried to kill John Hoffman. This is the man who tried to kill Paul Pelosi. This is the man who killed an Obama-appointed judge's son. This is the man who hired hitmen to kill Democrats. This is the man who ran over a left-wing activist and killed her. This is the man responsible for the Austin bombing. This is the man who sent pipe bombs to Obama, Biden, and Hillary Clinton. This is the man who shot Gabby Gifford. This is the man who tried to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. Oh, and this man. And this man, and this man, this man, this man, this man, this man, this man, and this man. This is the man who set Josh Shapiro's house on fire. This is the Oklahoma bomber. This is his accomplice. These are just a few of the men who beat police officers on January 6th. I can think of a few things they have in common, and it's not the way they use their words or their left-wing politics.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So apparently, Black people are the most violent race. Yeah, apparently. But you know what's wild? That idea didn't just fall from the sky, right? It was taught, it was repeated, and it was weaponized. Because when you actually look at history, who colonized half of the world? Who enslaved millions and called it business? Right? Who built wealth through brutality and genocide? Who? But somehow we're the problem. Somehow Black people are the problem. Please be serious. Please be for real. Credit goes to all of the original creators. Thank you so much for tapping in when you saw this. Quick disclaimer, this is just for educational and commentary purposes. Let's watch and we'll be back with some commentary.
White people. If crime statistics really mattered to us, we would be talking about white men every damn day. We as white people love to throw around statistics when it comes to the Black community. We love to misconstrue data about poverty rates, crime rates, single-parent households. Here's the thing. If you really want to talk about problematic behavior in terms of statistics, we need to talk about white men. Most mass shootings in America? White men. School shootings? White men. Intimate partner violence, typically known as domestic violence? White men. Police brutality and systemic violence? White men. Online harassment and extremism? White men. Domestic terrorism? White men. Serial killers? White men. The demographic making up the vast majority of CEOs, judges, senators, and police chiefs who refuse to hold white men responsible? White men. And yet us white men are really talked about as being a problem. Few white people are asking, what's wrong with white men? What's wrong with the culture? Few white men are demanding that we be fixed. And why? Because we as white men humanize and individualize white violent offenders. And it's time to flip the script. To shame and blame, because I know white males are incredibly fragile when it comes to that, but instead to name what's really going on and who continues to be protected and not held accountable because of selective storytelling.
Charge of violence against us actually stems from the guilt complex that exists in the conscious and subconscious minds of most white people in this country. They know that they've been violent in their brutality against Negroes, and they feel that someday the Negro is going to wake up and try and do unto them as they have done unto the whites as the whites have done unto us. We aren't a violent group.
When are some of you white bigots going to understand to stop demonizing the Black community over crime statistics? When are the most of you going to figure out that there's white individuals and there's white bigots? Two different groups of people. You get to choose which category you're in. But you're being disingenuous when you completely hinge crime statistics on the Black community and you don't bring up any other ethnic group. There lies your white bigotry, because if you were really genuinely concerned, you would speak about all crime amongst all ethnic groups. But I'm going to entertain you today. I've heard this from time and time again that I feel like I'm playing chess with a pigeon. So here we go. I made a few posts this morning and I'm going to read this off to you. Let's treat it as story time for the white bigot. In 2019, there were 566 white victims killed by black offenders. That's about 0.22 per 100,000 white people versus 246 black victims killed by white offenders. That's about 0.51 per 100,000 black individuals. That means per capita, black individuals face over twice the risk of being killed by a white offender than whites do from a black offender. Now, we're going to stop talking about this in some way or shape or form, and we're going to incorporate everybody as a whole in the crime statistics, because I'm not going to sit here and allow you to demonize my people.
Do you know the reason that a lot of black Americans don't know how to swim is because of hate crimes? During segregation, black people were banned from most public pools, and when they finally got black-only public pools, white people would respond with violence. They would literally pour chemicals and acid into these pools that would harm black people. In 1964, at a motel, there was a peaceful protest, and a white manager responded by pouring acid into the pool where black people were already swimming. The worst thing is that once Jim Crow was over and segregation was federally made illegal, rather than integrate, many cities completely shut down their pools. They were so upset by the legislation that they would rather deny access to everybody than allow white people and black people to mix. Today, 64% of black children don't know how to swim compared to 40% of white children, but that's not because of ability. It's because of a history of systemic exclusion. Crazy how many white people talk about this stereotype regularly without even knowing the history behind it. The hatred of white literally created a ripple effect through generations. This ties into why Hurricane Katrina was so deadly, because many black Americans were affected and many of them could not swim, which I will talk about in my next video. Bye.
What race of people kills people more than anybody?
Yeah, white people. Yeah. Outrageous.
However, they have convinced us to think that black people are so
violent,
look at this, the Ukrainian girl that died the other day. Awful situation. However, you're picking one story. That same week, a black woman got shot unprovoked by police officers, but you didn't focus on that story, and people don't realize they get emotionally connected because they think it looks like them. But one thing I just want to say, under the gaze of war, they can kill people without being criminals. And I was like, that is the realest thing I've ever heard in my life.
And also, think about the history of white people deputizing themselves. So white people becoming local police. Oh, someone's over there. We're going to do a lynch mob. What was a lynch mob for? It was to allegedly to do crime within to attack black people.
And what did the police used to be? Slave patrol.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. So like all of these things,
and that's why there's systemic racism in the police.
All of these
but people don't know this stuff.
A lot of you can't grapple with the fact that the black community commits a disproportionate amount of crimes in America.
Y'all give people like this too much attention, but here goes nothing. Number one, if black people are only 13% of the population, but 81% of the time when a white person is killed, they're killed by another white person, how in the hell can you conclude that black people commit the most crimes in America? Number two, you keep on bringing up this homicide rate, racializing it about a black thing. The red represents black people. This comes from the National Registry of Exonerations. We see that not only homicide, but all crimes, black people make up the majority of the exonerations. Let's keep on going. Number three, African Americans who are convicted of murder are about 50% more likely to be innocent than any other convicted murderers and spend a longer time, even if they're innocent. Number four, you say that black people commit the most crimes in America, but white people are most likely to commit a mass shooting or domestic terrorism, and I guess you don't care about that, huh? Number five, y'all stop tagging me in this woman's shit. She's not gonna respond to me because she don't want nothing with me, man.
There always has to be one. There is always someone who has bought into the manufactured idea that people with melanin are more violent than people without. There is always someone out there loud and wrong that slips into the comments with a subtly racist remark, and then when I call them out on it, they get blatantly racist. But I always wonder, can you blame these people for how they think? Because the media always portrays us as violent. Look at the difference between the protests a couple days ago and the protests of 2020. 95% of those protests in 2020 were peaceful, uneventful, but they were not covered. And the only thing that was covered was when the riots happened, which were started and escalated by the law enforcement. The only thing that people like this saw were the escalated images. And without the education system actually teaching history and unwhitewashed history in our schools, it is really hard for people like this to understand and know the truth unless they actually go out of their way to read and learn the truth, which, come on. Most people can't even find a good source to the truth of real history. A lot of the time, we only learn about 5 people that did great acts in the civil rights movement and beyond. We don't really know much about the people that helped us get out of slavery itself. And a lot of people don't even know what happened during slavery, being that schools now are trying to equate it to indentured servitude with free housing and healthcare and food.
Why do we always see the perpetrator being black? And it is true that black people they commit the most crime, most violent crime by far. Do you think it has to do something with their race, or is it just, how they're brought up?
I don't think it has anything to do with race. I think everything has to do with background.
So not like even 1%?
No.
So do you think people are different from their races, or is it just skin color and that's it? That's where it ends?
I think it's just skin color. And, of course, like ethnic background and geographical background.
Thinking this about race and saying, they never see white people do this or Asian people do this. Do you think we should call that out, or should we just judge all the individuals?
I don't think we should call that out. I don't know what the background was, but I don't know if there's other reportings of white people stabbing other white people, but I will say I'm a huge true crime fan, and there's a lot of true crime stories that involve a lot of different races, so I don't think it's specific to one race, and I don't think it needs to be called out.
Black people are naturally violent.
Why do you think that?
Because you commit all the crime in America.
Okay, well, where do you think most crime happens in America, period, regardless of race?
I guess it would be poor neighborhoods. But
okay, and how large is the black community a part of these poor communities?
Largely, but that has nothing to do with slavery. No, I'm not done. Okay, did you know that black people are 12 times more likely to be arrested for drugs? We are 50% of the exonerations in court
the black
because we are getting falsely arrested and charged. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Okay, well, based on the stats that you're talking about,
it doesn't matter what you're saying to me.
I'm only going to believe what I want to believe. Whatever fits my agenda, black people are evil, put that together and put an end to this ignorance. You're ignorant. You're not even listening to me.
Something so odd to me is how white people call black people animals, barbaric, violent. They say all this stuff about us. They're blaming on the culture of the music, the entertainment that's literally pushed by them onto us. It's so odd because, bro, white people used to eat us. They used to use us as clothes. They used to take our infants and throw them to alligators. They used to R-word our women, for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? For centuries. And if we would have done the same thing to them, they would be in the same position, same predicament as us, if not worse. Imagine we went to Europe, colonized, took all the strongest workers, R-worded their women, did everything terrible in the book, anything imaginable, right? Took all the resources, literally pillaged the whole entire continent. And then a couple years later, we're like, oh man, why are these white people so behind? Why are they so low IQ? Why are they so X, Y, and Z? It's damn. We did just destroy everything, right? We did just, destroy the environment, did everything harmful, their families, the systems, everything they had in place, we did ruin it. And that's why it's so annoying every single time you are online, you see these white kids trying to push these far right talking points because they have no understanding of human history and sociology. And if they did, maybe they wouldn't be talking about this, They always try to ignore the most important things, the lead up to these individuals' material condition, but they're not willing to pick up a book and actually learn anything. They just rather be racist all day.
The involvement of violence in black folks comes from that long history that the president was talking about, that we have to remember that we learned from some of the best. They had some white boys came over here that did the first beheadings in Point Coupee, Louisiana, where I'm from. Slave insurrection, that was the way you dealt with it. Tuskegee syphilis incident. We're going to see how black men die if they have syphilis, but we pretend we treat them with penicillin, and we're just going to watch the pathology of how they die. Now, that wasn't back 200 years ago. That was 1930 to 1974. We're talking about giving these wonderful blankets to the Native Americans infected with smallpox as they walked on that trail of tears just to see how they die and to eliminate their population so we can take all of that land. So the violence that is in America has come from a very learned position that was brought here by some Caucasian folks. All right?
We are not violent. We are survivors of violence. And the world hates when the survivors speak. But say what you want, right? Say what you want, but history has chapters that they won't teach. They fear our power because they know what we survived. But drop your thoughts in the comments respectfully. Hit like if you're tired of the gaslighting, right? And thank you so much for tapping in when you saw this. Credit goes to all original creators shown. This content is for commentary and educational purposes only. Thank you so much for tapping in again. Thank you so much for your support this far. And as usual, I'll see you on my next one.